Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shared my art on Instagram, and that's when things really started to pick up. It was doing well, and I was on the news, and I was getting coverage. They were throwing money at influencers when they first started. Hearing you're broke was a catalyst. I just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm Jo Steele. I'm an artist and content creator, primarily focused on body art. When I paint myself, it's everything from pop culture to social causes. I like to do really scary looks as well. I think that's some of my favorites. Illusion makeup, so that's using a black backdrop and making parts of myself disappear with black paint to create a totally different shape. I could make any part of me disappear. It's definitely some of my most popular work. I was on CNN and all these live news shows in Boston and the Steve Harvey talk show, just for these photos, the work that I was doing. News viral, I don't even know the right word for it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shared some art on Instagram, and that's when things really started to pick up. I realized, okay, I'm gonna quit my day jobs and pursue this full time. And it was still something that you didn't hear a lot of people doing, like making a living off of social media. And brand deals, monetization, all of that is based off of your performance. And I tried to mold myself to be somebody I wasn't, to be what other people at the time were thinking of as like an influencer or a content creator. And I also felt an incredible amount of pressure being in Los Angeles to look a certain way and act a certain way. And I had a different manager, a talent manager at the time, who had a lot of ideas of what I should be that didn't align with what I thought I should be. Financially, you know, I had quit my jobs to like make social media work, and it was at least like 6 months before I actually saw revenue from that. So I, was living in like across the street from an abandoned foods market in LA, like with cockroaches all over the place. And people weren't seeing that. They weren't seeing like the struggle. I continued to feel like, well, then I have to be examples of influencers that are getting like 6-figure deals. So that's when I started to change myself, not just create art that's visually appealing, but I have to be visually appealing. That my weight was changing, my hair color was changing, the type of content I was doing was changing. Like just trying to see what would go viral. There was a lot happening behind the scenes that nobody knew about. Like on top of already having anxiety and like struggling with depression from a young age, like to put like that amount of stress on top of it, like I developed an eating disorder, I developed all of these insecurities. I knew that despite everything I was feeling at the time, that I had to continue creating content. But even if I didn't necessarily feel like that was authentic to me, I was making these decisions, and they were being reinforced by the people around me. So my talent manager, just other voices, other people that I knew in the industry who were also telling me that I had to fit this mold. And as that was happening, things continued to fall apart. I had a business manager, and at the time, he sat me down and he said, "You're broke." The eating disorders, depression, it was anxiety. That was probably like the first major low that I hit, where at the time, yes, I was suicidal and it felt very hopeless. I don't even think it was like a special day. I think I was just feeling like there was no joy. There was just like no joy whatsoever. So I knew that that could be, it's hard. I knew I was at risk of hurting myself, so I left the house because that was the first step, was leaving the environment and sitting in my car and still feeling like, where am I about to go right now? And then making the decision, I'm gonna get help. Even if I was alone, like I had family who would obviously support me, I had a partner, like I had all these people, but I still felt very alone. And I think that is true for a lot of people in that moment. And a lot of people don't know that the people that they love are going through that. So yeah, I drove and got help instead. I felt very strongly this like overwhelming feeling of, this isn't what I'm meant to be doing right now. This is me, like this is my work, like I don't need it to be compared to anyone else. Like I don't have to be the best, I just have to be the best version of myself. And even though I was exhausted, I was just like, nope, I'm gonna just reset and film this video. So it had to do with the struggles that I was facing with my own body image, and then being in LA and feeling like I had to be a certain size. So the video itself shows my stomach twisting and really small. I just wanted to evoke that same feeling of like that gut-wrenching, like this is controlling me, like it's taking over my life. This is all I care about and it shouldn't be what I care about. And I filmed it and I was like, okay, cool, this looks really cool on camera. I don't know like if it sells, what people are gonna think about it. And I remember posting it the next morning and then like leaving for the day. Anxiety is really just like the only word for it. It felt like, oh, what if people don't like this? What if I'm showing everyone how I feel and my thoughts and I'm met with like a bunch of negativity? Like, how would I handle that on top of everything else I was going through at the time? I posted it and just like sat for a second because I knew that if I just looked at the comments or I looked at the views, I could delete it. I didn't want to turn back, so I closed the laptop and I walked away. When I checked back in and saw that it was getting millions of views by like the minutes, I was just like, whoa. So there's like such a adrenaline rush, like this euphoria that kind of happened. So it was like a moment of, oh, okay, this is why I need to listen to that other voice, you know, the more authentic version of myself, and create content based on that. When it came to the eating disorder and body image, you're always your own worst critic. You wouldn't look at somebody and say, you don't look good enough, you're not good enough, but for some reason we say that to ourselves. That like harshest critic was winning for so long, and so I had to be kind to myself. Like, in a sense, it's a survival instinct, and that voice that says, no, you're good enough, like, you should share this, like, you should talk about this. This is how I'm gonna live. The amazing thing was my business, the brand deals, all of that got better after this. What I thought would be like a downturn for me, even though more people were watching, it was that engagement that ended up boosting my career. All sorts of people saw it. I had like Sophie Turner tell me she had seen the video. I had all these follows suddenly from people like Kate Beckinsale or like Kobe Bryant. And seeing all these people like follow me and be like, I recognize your video, I've seen it. Yeah, it was this massive upturn. Anytime anyone comments like, I felt so alone and this helped me not feel alone, that is the most important thing that happens when I post anything about mental health or social causes. I mean, I got a lot of people sharing their personal stories. I had posted a video about depression, and I had a mom message me on Instagram saying that that video saved her daughter's life. And it's really things like that that like mean the most. To say like her 13-year-old daughter saw that and then opened up to her mom. I always felt a responsibility to share these things and talk about these things. And when I do, to do it in a way that's mindful. I think it's great to be vulnerable. And so at that moment I was exhausted, and it did feel like all of those voices, the part of you that says you're not good enough, all of that was quiet, and I was able to like fill that space instead with something positive. I wouldn't change anything looking back on it, because I just wouldn't have experienced the things that I've experienced. I wouldn't have shared the videos that I shared. I wouldn't have transformed if I hadn't had my faceplant.